Hey YouTube, Land Tycoon there, doing another action figure review, and today we are having a look at the Hiya Toys GIJoe Cobra Agent, or Hired Mercenary, if you want to put it specifically, of Major Bludd. So Major Bludd is kind of a fan favorite of mine, along with Destro, Baroness, a lot more the Cobra side of things than the Joe side of things. Major Bludd has always been kind of an interesting character. But, well, he's Major Sebastian Bludd for his full title. So we'll have a look at our card art. And again, it is a very nicely done card art for the character. I didn't take the base out of the back because it's exactly the same as the one that came with Baroness. If I flip around the back of the box, again, they're very limited on what they do for the actual figure. As in, there's images of the figure doing kind of, you know, for promoting the figure, but there's no bio card like most GIJoe kind of stuff. You don't have any details or history of the character. You just have images of the figure in various poses. There's a QR code. In fact, I'll bring that up there close to the camera so you can see the QR code if you want to pause it and try and see where it leads to. More than likely it's just to the Hiya Toys website. I don't think there's a dedicated GIJoe Hiya Toys website. I haven't actually tried the QR code. And then it just has links to their Twitter, well, X as it is now, Facebook, Instagram, and then it just has like legalese stuff, and then it has the same information that I'm assuming redone in Chinese on the bottom of the box. As the box goes, it is pretty much plain and it is identical. If I bring in Destro's, it's identical to Destro's, and it is also identical to the Baroness's. Same kind of explosion background, which is kind of a nod to the original GIJoe lineup. You have card art of that character within, and then, as I said, on the back of the boxes you have some images of the figures doing action poses and whatnot, but otherwise there's no bio card or file card as they used to have them on the old GIJoe stuff. So there is that kind of downside to them, but other than that, it is what it is. So bear with me a moment, I'm going to get a little bit more set up for taking a look at the figure, and we'll come back to the... And here is the figure in all his glory. So we'll bring him up close to the camera so you can have a good look at him. He does come with accessories. Now, his pistol grip hand, or it's supposed to be the rocket launcher gun that he uses, is his normal hand is actually the closed fist, which he has on his left. The default ones are the closed fist hands. I did swap out the trigger finger hand for his robotic hand, or on this version of the figure, it's a robotic hand. There's kind of some speculation. If you look at the earlier figure, or the earliest O-ring version of the figure, because it's one of the few original Joe figures that had a kind of less articulation on his right hand, because it had a solid. It had no elbow swivel or battle grip like the left hand side. It had a solid hand for his right hand, or solid arm, in a kind of pose. It was in it wasn't just straight, it was posed, so it was kind of bended, but it was an actual posed hand. The thing about it is it had 3 fingers on the hand, as opposed to like a full hand. And then later on they did kind of similar stuff with the 25th anniversary line. They made a arm that was like non-posable, which was really sucky because it kind of took away from the figure. Whereas this version of him is based on his classified. It's basically, it's a glorified scaled down version of the classified version. Now unfortunately the classified version so far, they haven't done a reissue of him Hopefully he will get a reissue and maybe a slight tweak to his color palette for the retro classified line. So far he hasn't gotten that treatment yet, but hopefully it is on the cards that he will get a reissue, because he is one of the few classified figures that was released as a Target, I believe it was Target exclusive under the Cobra Island moniker, and he was a reuse of parts for most of it. He did share parts with the Cobra Troopers and the Cobra officers from the classified line, but again, he was a unique character and he was quite hard to get. I'm not sure how hard he is to get on the secondary market in the classified line. This guy I picked up from was it Big Bad? No, I got this guy from Locker Toys because they had him in stock, and Bludd is one of my favorite characters. We'll go through his accessories and I'll stop waffling about the character. So he is the first character I have from this line that has a actual separate backpack. So he does have a small peg hole on the back of his back. He comes with two guns. He comes with this gun, which is supposed to represent his kind of missile gun, and we'll get into that in a second. He does come with one that is in his working holster, which I love this gun. It looks like a pretty beefed up version of a Magnum. It's like a sci-fi Magnum of some sort, something similar to like Deckard's pistol from what's the freaking movie, Blade Runner, something along those lines. It has a very sci-fi feel to it, but it also has kind of a real world look to it. He does grip it quite nicely in both hands. Unfortunately, I don't have his pistol or trigger finger hand in for his left, but he does hold it quite nicely. He can pose quite nicely with that arm. Technically, if you want to consider it, his dog tags are a separate piece. His helmet is also a separate piece as well. Now, when I got him first, his helmet was way up here and I wasn't sure if it was separate or not, and there was an issue with the mold of the head, but it is thankfully a separate piece, and I was able to course correct it to make it look a bit more natural on the head. And again, we'll just have a quick look at that backpack, because there is even accessories to the backpack. As you can see, one of them is actually off the backpack. He comes with two of these missiles. Now, on the classified version of the backpack, it is the same styling. It has a similar look to it, except I don't think it has the paint apps. I don't remember the classified version having the red tips to the missiles. But you get a gun similar to this, and the idea was this piece is actually a separate part, and you plug in those missiles onto that, whereas this one, they did it as a separate kind of gun itself. So it kind of makes this backpack a little redundant. There is a small peg hole on the side of the backpack as well, so if you want him to have all his gear stored, you can actually store it on his backpack, which is quite nice. Again, he does come with one of these base plates. This isn't the one for him. The one for him is the exact same one as this. It is the one that came with Baroness. So I haven't taken it out of the box, but you can see if I flip it around, it's just connected with these eye clips or H clips, whichever way you want to describe it. And as you can see, if you have any of these are the ones from the Aliens, these are the ones from Predator, these are the ones from the GIJoes. These are actually the ones from the 2000 AD characters. So if you have any of these small bases, they will clip together and you can form a large base. You can even clip them down this way if you so choose. So depending on your choice and preference, you can have all these guys laid out on a pretty nice base. So that is it for the bases. And as previously mentioned, he does come with two alternate hands. They're quite small, so I'm going to try and see if I can get them on screen. Hopefully the camera will zoom in on that or focus up on that. So this is the default hand he came with on his right, which is the, bear with me a second. If I can use this guy's little doohickey for pointing, it might help zoom it up. So this one is the default hand that it came with for his right hand. It is just a grasping hand, and then you have a grip hand, or sorry, trigger finger hand for his left. So he has the grip hand on. Hopefully this, you can see these on screen. They are quite small, so they are quite nice. So that is it for his accessory count. Again, he actually has more accessories than the previous figures. Destro came with his briefcase and a couple of guns, whereas Baroness just came with more stuff that was already on her, and then a machine pistol. So, and she also had to swap out hairpiece. So between them all, they have kind of unique accessories and a couple of default ones, because all of them came with alternate hands. So we have a quick look at his articulation, and then we'll move forward from there. So before I quickly go on with the articulation of this guy, I think one of the best things to do is to bring in the old tape measure, so you can see how tall he is. He should be in the 4-inch scale, because this is a 1/18 scale figure. You can see he just stands just a little, maybe a hair above the 4 inches. So he is 1/18 scale. And then we shall have a look at his articulation. So I'm going to take his helmet off, because it will fall off in the process of moving his head around. His head is on a ball joint, so you get some good left to right. You get swivel. He doesn't have a double neck joint, as in like he doesn't have one at the base of the neck and then base of the head. It's just at the base of the head. This is a separate piece. You can take them off if you want, the dog tags. In fact, I'll just leave them off for the time being, so you get a better look at that sculpt. He is sculpted quite nicely all around. I do not believe he shares any parts with anyone else so far. There's a Cobra Trooper on the way, so it may do what they did with Classified and share parts with this guy. His arms can bend out that much. His shoulder pad, actually, it's worth noting that this is on a small individual hinge, and it can rotate out that way to give him that much clearance. He does have a bicep swivel, which is super tight on my one, on this right hand, and he has a double jointed elbow on the right hand, and then his wrist is a peg system, so you can get some twists and rotation and a bit of forward and back on it. Again, similar with the right, his left has a bicep swivel, which is a bit more loose on this side, because it's more the standardized version of the bicep swivel. Let's put your gun, actually I'll leave your gun off. Again, double jointed elbows, which is the norm for these guys now. I don't think there is any swivel in the gauntlet. Some of the older figures, like the Predator figures, had a swivel gauntlet, but he doesn't. There is a diaphragm joint, which gives him some good side to side, and not so much forward because of this plate, armor plating that comes down in front of him, but he can lean backwards a bit. He then also has the lower waist one, which is very tight on mine, but it is a swivel. He should be able to rotate his waist like a normal character. He can do the T pose that much, or the splits that much with his legs. Just be wary that this belt, unlike the one on Destro, this isn't as loose on the one as Destro, so there isn't as much give on it for his holster. He does have a swivel on that side. Actually, I'm going to do it on the other side because it's safer. He does have a thigh swivel, if I can get it to move. I haven't actually moved the ones on him. No, but he does have thigh swivel. You can actually see the joint. I actually haven't moved it on him, and it's very tight. I do not want to overstress that in case I snap it off. It does have double jointed knees. You can get 8 knees. It can only really bend back that much. He does have boot swivel, and there is peg hold on both feet, I believe. And, or sorry, ankle swivel, not boot swivel. There's no joint at the boot top. At least I do not believe there is. It is worth noting his thigh swivel is quite tight. Even though I did dip this guy into hot water when I first got him just to loosen up the joint a bit, it doesn't seem to have done the trick on his thigh swivel. So I'll just have to make note of that for when I move him around again. Again, working holster for this pistol. You can pop it in, fits in quite nicely, fits in snugly. It's not going to fall out. We'll pop his backpack on. Now, I do feel that on mine, it is this armor plating above his body is just slightly out of alignment. So it does look like it sits a little off to me. But we'll have a look at that in a second. So that is what he looks like with his gear on. And then we'll just throw his dog tags back in place. And get him the good old look of Major Bludd. And there goes that one little missile piece. This one doesn't seem to fall out as much because I didn't actually remove it when I first got it. This one I kind of knocked out when I was trying to get the backpack on, and ever since it's been very loose. I'm not sure if they're intended to be glued in place or like they're not supposed to fall out, because they are a separate piece. So it could be the fact that they were intended to be glued and the glue was just really wasn't as good, strong on this particular missile piece. So I haven't seen anyone else's review of this guy, so I'm not sure if that is actually supposed to be the case or not. But he does have some good articulation. You can get some good dynamic posing, and overall he is a pretty nice figure. So for size comparisons, we'll bring in, he's not a classic, but he is the retro version. So this is the more recent Hasbro, or the last version Hasbro 3¼ inch or 4-inch 1/18 scale figure for the Cobra Trooper. So he doesn't stand too badly with him. We'll bring in one of the Eagle Force Returns figures, which is the guy that's based on, I can never remember the character's name, but it's the guy from Big Trouble in Little China. It's supposed to be Kurt Russell's character, and you can see how he scales up. And then for another actual Hiya Toys figure, because I have him here with me, I will bring in battle damaged wolf predator, if I can get him to stand. The wolf predators tend to be a little bit tricky to stand because sometimes their ankles are not fully flat on their feet. And then for one other size comparison, actually we'll do a few more. I have one of the Zika Toys 4-inch Sector figures, a line which I am very disappointed never got the finish. It's full run, even though I think it was someone else brought back the kind of full 8-inch figures again. I would have loved to see that 4-inch line continue. We'll bring in a Batman figure from that was it F5 Chinese company, which is also in that same scale. This is like the Batman Beyond style suit from the Arkham Knight wave of figures. So you can fit him in the back there. And we'll bring in a Joy toy. I have her standing off to the side, so I may as well make use of her. A Joy toy mechanic figure from their maintenance crew set. So all in all, he is a pretty darn good figure. Getting him is more of the problem, because I think a lot of the Hiya Toys GIJoe figures tend to be, I wouldn't say Chinese exclusive per se, but they are harder to get in the European market, at least over here. I'm not sure about the US market. I think some of them are available on places like Amazon US, but they're not available on the other Amazon sites. So it's basically where you can get them is the, you know, shopping around to find out where you can get them is the best way to get these guys. So far I haven't found any real local suppliers for the Hiya Toys GIJoe figures. I have seen other Hiya Toys figures like the Predators. In fact, I might as well bring him in as he's up the back here. The Robocop Kane, Robocop figures, the Predator figures, the Alien figures all seem to be plentiful. For some reason the GIJoe ones don't seem to be as plentiful over here. So it could be just a marketing thing. I don't know. There could be some sort of embargo on how they are distributed. That could be another case as to why they're not as widely available. But all in all, he is a cool figure. Unfortunately, I don't have Destro or Barnes to hand. They're actually over in another building at the moment. So with and when I get more figures, I do want to get the Firefly figure and the Cobra Commander figure. In fact, speaking of Cobra Commander, I know I said I wouldn't do any more comparisons. I do have the retro collection version of Cobra Commander with a swapped out head. The original one of these guys' heads was just it was metallic, but it wasn't a chrome metallic, and I swapped the head out with the 50th anniversary version, which had a chrome version. It was the similar sculpt. I just prefer to have the chrome visor on him. But all in all, he's a cool figure. So hope you enjoy this video review. As always, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. In fact, please subscribe to my channel and help build my fan base, and help share the video and share it to friends and people you think might enjoy seeing this figure review. So thanks for watching, thanks for taking the time out to watch this, and as always, have a great day. Cheers, guys.